Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome back to my channel. I pray that you are all in the best of health and iman. If you are new, welcome. My name is Nafisa. I am a Muslimah lifestyle coach and I make Islam and lifestyle videos. So if you're interested in that kind of content, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and join our family. I am a little bit under the weather, guys, which is why you didn't get a video from me this weekend. But I was quite excited about starting this new series of mine, which is where I'm going to be sharing inshallah the stories that you guys send me in about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted you guys your du'as. And inshallah the hope for this is to encourage other people who may be feeling quite down about the du'as that they are making, and they're maybe starting to doubt whether or not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept their du'a. So I'm hoping that this series will definitely be inspirational and encourage all of us to continue making our du'as and having hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept them. So pardon how nasally I sound right now and how not so energetic I am in this video. Again, I am not well and I was starting to get better and then the cold kicked in, so I'm here with my ginger tea. So if at any point I accidentally sneeze, forgive me. At least you can't get the germs through the camera, so we're good, right? Okay, anyway, so in today's video, inshallah, I'm going to share with you guys a story about a point of time in my life where I made a particular dua and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended up accepting my dua and what actually happened. So this particular incident happened a couple of years ago when I worked in a particular school. I'm not going to say which one, but I was working in this particular school and I started to get the vibe that this really wasn't the place for me where I could stay long term. So I started thinking about what I could do moving forward. Whilst I was just sort of thinking about it, contemplating it, alhamdulillah, things were going well, things were going fine. I worked a couple of years in that school, in fact, but as I became more and more interested in thinking about moving on, I started to see things that were basically telling me, look, you're not in the right place. Without exposing anyone, I witnessed a particular incident with a member of staff and a student, and it really left me very, very uncomfortable, and I had to speak up. Now, this particular individual or staff member had good relationships with people who were on the higher level, in terms of the rankings in schools, as we all know. So basically the complaints that I was giving out weren't really taken that seriously. Now, funny enough, actually, during this time there was a student who came to work. They told us that this particular student was working, doing some work experience. And I thought that was quite odd because this particular school that I worked at was a private school, right? It was a privately owned school and they don't often take in fact, in probably the couple of years that I was there, I never saw that they took in any students to come in and do work experience. It was usually, qualified staff and people like that and specialist staff. So, I thought that was a bit dodgy, but anyway, they said that the student was in to do some work experience before they went and moved on to university. So we thought, okay, fine. I ended up having quite a good relationship with this particular student who was, I think, 17 at the time or whatever. He worked in the same class that I was working in, and he would come in and support the kids and work alongside us as well. So again, we just developed a good working relationship. And I was telling this particular student who was doing work experience that I've been witnessing certain things and I'm feeling very, very uncomfortable about it. So I told him about the things that I was seeing, and he said he completely agreed that he was seeing the same thing I was seeing. And I thought that was strange because when I had mentioned it, it wasn't really taken that seriously. He was like, yeah, no, he agrees and he's been seeing certain things as well and he's feeling uncomfortable. Now, mind you, this wasn't something that I thought was like a safeguarding issue, because if I had perceived it to be a safeguarding issue, I would have reported it straight away. But it was just like, nagging little things. So anyway, cut a long story short, I ended up reporting this member of staff, and I literally got so upset by what had happened that I knew that that place, I couldn't stay working in that place anymore, because I felt like the people on top weren't taking things seriously. So when that did happen though, one day I was so frustrated, and I was just talking to this this student helper and just saying, you know, I can't do this anymore, I'm leaving this place. And as it turned out to be, this particular student was the son of the owner of the school, right? So as I said before, this school was privately owned. So this young teenager that had come to work there, his dad actually was the one who owned the school, and he was the one that I had been venting out to. So as Allah would have it turned out, he then went and, you know, passed the information to his parents, and I'm hoping, I didn't stay there long enough to find out, but I'm hoping that something was actually done about it. Guys, it wasn't an irresponsible decision, because of course I had savings and I had, you know, some money to keep me going for a little while, but I just knew that I didn't want to stay there, and it was coming towards the end of the academic year. In fact, I handed in my resignation letter 1 week before the school year ended. So this was this was kind of mid-July when I handed in my resignation letter, and I knew that wasn't, obviously I was resigning, so I wasn't going to come back in September, which meant I didn't have a job for September. Of course I would get paid for August, because when we work throughout the academic year we get paid for our holidays. So I would get paid for August, but I'd had nothing for September moving forth, and I had 1 week to try and look for a job. And I remember that I would you know, make a lot of istihara about leaving this particular job, and I just felt so strongly that I just didn't want to stay there anymore. And I remember coming home on the day when I handed in my resignation letter, and then thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, what's gonna happen to me from September onwards? Like, I have 1 week to try and look for a job. Like, really, Nafisa? One thing about me, I'm very, I don't know, I feel like I'm very in tune with my feelings, and sometimes I get very strong feelings for certain things, and I feel like that's how Allah moves me along. So I was feeling that I had to leave, came home, prayed 2 rakas, and literally just cried out to Allah. Like, when I was making the dua, it was literally like someone is sitting next to me and I'm explaining the story from A to Z, what happened and why I feel like I have to leave, and just basically begging Allah for help. And I cried so much. I remember being in like sajda and just crying to Allah and asking Allah to help me, and I came out of sajda just feeling so calm. I remember feeling so calm, and just all of a sudden I just didn't feel any worries anymore. And I always remember, don't quote me on this, but it spoke about those who put their trust in Allah. Allah will provide for them as He provided for the birds. I just released myself of the fear. I knew that I had a little bit of money and that could keep me going for a little while. So I decided, you know, what's the worst that can happen? The following day, I went on to my phone and I submitted my CV onto an teaching agency. Now, usually 1 week before school closes, there aren't that many jobs available for the following academic year, because all of the places would usually be booked, right? But as Allah would have it, I submitted my CV, and literally it took like a couple of hours, and so many agencies started contacting me, and they were like, you've worked in really good schools, like we would want you to join our agency, you know, when can you come and get yourself registered? Then there was this particular agency, I wasn't even registered with them, and they were like, yeah, you know, we've seen your CV, we love everything that's on there, we want you to go to an interview like the very next day. This was like, I think I went on the interview on the Wednesday, the school was finishing on the Friday. I was like, well, how do I register with you guys? They were like, you know, don't worry, after you go see what the outcome is, then you can come back to us and do all the legal stuff and register with us. I took the day off work and I went for the interview, and guys, subhanallah, I was offered a job literally in that interview. Like, the head teacher didn't even wait for, just be like, you know, we'll look over everything and we'll talk about it and we'll get back to you. There was none of that. She literally offered me the job there and then. So if you really think about it, I submitted my resignation in the Friday, and by the following Wednesday I had already secured another job, and that was nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala providing for me. And the lesson that that taught me was to really open up to Allah. I feel like sometimes when we make dua, we have that fear of Allah in us, but sometimes it can prevent us from really opening up to Allah. And also learning to trust Allah, right? So speaking to Allah, not in, obviously in a very respectful manner, but just being comfortable enough to tell Allah all of your worries, pour it out to Him and let Him take care of you. And a major thing that this particular incident taught me was what it meant to trust Allah the way that the birds trust, like trust Allah the way that the birds would trust Allah, right? They go out in the morning with an empty stomach and they come back full. And literally that was me. That was me at that point. I went out without a job and I came back in with a job. And so it taught me that what it means to trust Allah the way that Allah should be trusted is to trust Allah without having fear. Now guys, that is hard because I have tried many a times to replicate that, but according to the trial, it can be a lot more challenging in some cases to just trust Allah and not worry at all. But I've learned from my own experiences that that is what it truly means to put your trust in Allah the way that Allah should be trusted, is that you literally shouldn't have any fear. Like, I'll give you an example, right? And Allah is above all examples. But let's say, for example, your mum said, come with me, let's go somewhere. You didn't know where you were going. You're asking mum, like, mum, where are we going? And she's just like, just come with me, we're going somewhere. Would you be afraid? Like, would you be scared? Like, oh my God, where's my mum taking me? Unless you like done something wrong, but come on. You trust your mum enough to know that she's not going to take you somewhere that's going to harm you, right? She's not going to harm you. So you will go with her. You might be curious, you'll be wondering, but you're not going to be worried and scared to death because you know that that's your mum and she loves you and she's going to, you know, put you in good and she's going to want good for you ultimately, right? So think about it, and again, Allah is above all examples. But when you trust Allah that much and you don't know where you're going, but He says, trust me. Ever since that incident happened to me, I've learned to really open up my heart to Allah and to talk to Allah about all of my worries, right? And to trust in Him that He's going to take care of me. Now, I also think part of the reason why that, like, my dua for a new job was accepted, I think Allah knows best why, but I think that one of the reasons was because I did the right thing. I saw that someone was being oppressed and I stood by the person who was being oppressed, right? And I helped the one who was doing the oppression by stopping him from doing the oppression and by reporting him. So the good that you do truly does come back to you. And Allah knew that I didn't leave that job out of like feeling arrogant or you know, just being ungrateful for what I had. It was just a lot of things that I had seen that I wasn't pleased with, that I did not want to be a part of, right? And I spoke about that in my dua. So a dua really shouldn't just be a short thing of, you know, you just sit there, oh Allah grant me this, oh Allah I want that, oh Allah grant me this, and it's finished. Like, take your time to sit down, have a conversation with your Lord. He is your Lord, He has time for you, you know. People in life won't always have time for you. Everyone's busy doing whatever else it is that they're doing, right? Allah will always have time for you. You have to make the time to reconnect and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that was how I ended up with a job literally within a matter of days. It wasn't me. It wasn't my abilities. It was all Allah. It was literally all Allah. So I just want to say to you guys, make sure you're keeping up with doing good deeds. It really does pay off. It really pays off, guys. And it makes it, I feel, easier to have your du'as accepted if you increase the amount of good deeds that you do. And I always tell you guys this story of, you know, the man who was always seeking forgiveness, you know, the baker who always seeks forgiveness, and one of the effects that he found was that his du'as would always be accepted. It really pays to do good, guys. So that was an example of how Allah accepted my prayers, and till this day I look at it and I am so grateful. And for me, it was a very profound, you know, stage in my life because it taught me so much. It seems as though a very small thing, but it really did teach me a lot of lessons. So that is all I have to share, guys, with you. I think I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit because I'm really still not well, but I didn't want to go that long without posting a video, and I was really excited to start this series. Inshallah, the next video in this series will be a lot more lively as I get better. Make dua for me, inshallah. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys would like for me to retell your stories of success, of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted your dua, then please don't forget to email your stories to me, and I will choose one inshallah each week and make a video on that. If you would like to be coached by me, don't forget you can find all of my details in the description box down below. Jazakallah khair for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.